Paul was caught on security camera in a convenience store buying $50 worth of alcohol that night. He used his brother Buster's driver's license because he was underage.
It was to be an afternoon of fun for these 6 young people.
Nobody saw the tragedy coming.
Paul and Connor decided to go into this bar for a drink.
He just was very persistent about going up to Luther's and getting a shot.
He was out of his mind drunk.
He just is a whole other person when he's...
He and his friends returned to the boat around 1 a.m.
Paul was just driving and doing donuts. Stops Connor and he's like, no, this is my boat, like, let me drive. I saw the bridge coming.
I heard a scream and then a bang.
911, where's the emergency?
Oh, what bridge is this?
And then that's when we all started screaming for Mallory.
Alec wasn't worried about finding Mallory.
He wanted to make sure that lips were sealed.
They were more worried about a cover-up.
I think that from day one, ground zero, the effort was, what can we do to get Paul out of this?
Alex reportedly went from room to room to try to communicate with the other boat crash passengers and get them all on the same page.
Hospital security guard said he overheard Alex Murdaugh on his cell phone say, "She's gone, don't worry."
About 2 hours after the crash, Murdaugh's BAC sat at .286. That's more than 3 times.
Authorities, search teams, friends, and family searched for an entire week. Until
911. We're on the search team. We think we found her.
later that month, her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Alec and Buster Murdaugh, plus Parker's convenience store.
So I was right. They did file the wrongful death lawsuit, which is completely right. And I think they should get the money from this fucking bastard, bro. That'd be stealing from everybody. Man's just an entitled prick that thought he could just walk all over people, but karma's a bitch, and she always, what goes around comes around.
Who sold Paul the alcohol the night of the crash.
Well, in the community, some thought he's going to get away with it. He's Murdaugh.
Nearly 2 months after the boat crash, on what would have been Mallory's 20th birthday, Paul was charged with 3 felony counts, including boating under the influence of alcohol or drugs and causing the death of Mallory Beach. He pleaded not guilty.
Pleading not guilty.
Thing to say about that? About
not guilty.
Not guilty. Because he's not guilty.
The court-ordered mediation in the wrongful death lawsuit failed on
done.
June 4th, 2021, meaning the case would then head to trial. 3 days later, Paul and his mother Maggie are found shot to death. On June 4th, 2021, meaning the case would then head to trial. 3 days later,
guilty.
The court-ordered mediation in the wrongful death lawsuit failed on June 4th, 2021, meaning the case would then head to trial. 3 days later, Paul and his mother Maggie are found shot to death at their family's hunting lodge.
This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and got. This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
You know, he's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
The death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach has been described as the catalyst for the downfall of the Murdaugh dynasty. In the wake of this tragedy, the Murdaugh family was brought back into the spotlight with negative publicity, criminal charges against Paul, and an over $10 million lawsuit against the powerful family. When we talk about the boat case as it pertains to the trial of Alec Murdaugh, we're really referring to both the criminal and civil cases. As we know, Paul was awaiting trial at the time of his death, but after his not guilty plea in May 2019, he was out on a $50,000 personal recognizance bond,
White
and nothing
privilege,
progressed
bro,
further.
Because if this was a fucking black guy or a black teen, drunk, just drunk driving, you're in jail. This guy killed someone in a boat crash and he's fucking good just because his family has been running this town since day one. I don't know what's the screaming white privilege.
In the case before his death, he never spent a night in jail, nor was he ever placed in cuffs. As a formality, the charges were dropped in August 2021 following his death. As for the civil case, I imagine this was the more pressing of the two matters in Alec's mind during the spring and early summer of 2021. Beach's family and other survivors of the boat crash were suing Alec Murdaugh over Mallory's death, alleging that the father had been negligent. Mark Tinsley, the lawyer who filed the wrongful death lawsuit, testified that Murdaugh had a progressive insurance policy for the boat that would pay $500,000 per victim, a small dent in the $10 million he sought from Murdaugh. Tinsley said he was told by Murdaugh's defense he'd only be able to cobble together about $1 million, but that he was ultimately broke. Tinsley said that given Murdaugh's steady flow of cases in Hampton County, real estate holdings, and generational wealth, he found it hard to believe that he was broke. As he tried to pressure Alec to settle the case, Tinsley said he warned him that mock juries to whom they had presented the lawsuit had been extremely sympathetic to the Beach family. Alec, though, continued to insist he was broke and can only really, quote, cobble to
broke, but little did everyone know this guy was fucking stealing from just people that were in vulnerable places, bro. You're a prick. It's crazy. This guy's stealing from guys that are fucking paralyzed and shit. It's just so fucked up. Stealing from stealing from the nannies, stealing from the housekeepers' kids, all that. Not giving them any money from the death lawsuit, all that. It's just fucked up.
Together $1 million. But Tinsley said he found this impossible to believe because he knew that Alec was continuing to make money as an attorney. When Alec continued to stonewall, Tinsley filed a court motion in October 2020.
Like, Alec, are you forgetting your attorney? It's not a bad paying job, bro. You could survive just that being your job. You don't need to rob from everyone.
Asking the judge to force Alec to list all his bank accounts and finances, which would not have gone well based on his various schemes and sketchy transactions over the last decade that we previously talked about. After various delays, the hearing on that court motion was scheduled for June 10th, 2021, just 3 days after the murders.
What day was the motions hearing that included the motion to compel rescheduled for?
June 10th.
Like I said in the last video, bro, there's no such thing as too many coincidences. This is weird, bro. You're telling me your family, like, if he didn't do it, bro, like, bro, you were doing other shit. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone else just came in and shot your family, bro. But, like, you were doing frauding everyone. Like you weren't a good person yourself. That's karma, bro. Literally, like, either way, bro. And if you did kill your family, you're an even bigger sociopath, or whatever it is, psychopath, whatever, bro. You're both, because that's crazy, bro. And now you're convicted, and you still kind of just admit to it that you did it. That's the crazy part. You're caught, bro. Just admit to it now. Who knows?
2021.
How'd you hear about the murder of Maggie and Paul?
I got a phone call sometime in the middle of the night, 11:30, that's my recollection, from Judge Hall's law clerk. Judge Hall's over the boat crash case, to me and the lawyer for Parker's, as well as about the fact that the hearing's not going forward.
All right, this time I'd offer states for us. What's the date of that email?
June 8th, 2021.
What time?
4:24 p.m.
That period of time, was there any date set in the wake of all of this for it to be reheard?
There was not.
In the wake of the murders, did you generally understand or have an idea of at least what had happened to Maggie and Paul, how they had been killed?
I did.
Just from media reports and the rest of it?
That's right.
And did that have any effect, that tragedy of their deaths, did that have any effect on your assessment of the boat case and how everything fit together if things were how they initially appeared?
It would have affected, I mean, yes, it did, and it would have ended the case.
It would have ended the case against who?
Against Alex Murdaugh.
And explain that to the jury. Why? What had changed after this terrible tragedy?
Well, when you have a civil case, nice people get good verdicts, okay, just generally speaking. Yes, sir. Nice people get good verdicts. You really have to motivate a jury
Talking to
walk
Mike, boy, I
out
can't hear
somebody in
you.
a civil case. And so if you compared, say, Attila the Hun with some sweet grandmother, who gets a better result? It's the sweet grandmother. If Alec is the victim of a vigilante, nobody's going to hold him accountable. Doesn't make any difference what he did or how clearly what he did contributed.
It's like, yep.
The case
That's what's
going to
happen now. No, bro. You're going locked up 30
so
years, brother. Shaving your head.
initially,
You're going to be a skinhead in there.
It could have been over. It appeared that it was going to be over against
Didn't
Alec.
work.
Because I had other defendants. I had Parker's convenience store that clearly violated its rules, and so you wouldn't want a very sympathetic person in your case when you have somebody who clearly violated the rules and caused this tragedy. So it would have been over against him.
The sympathies of the case had changed if Alec had truly been, his family had been the victim of some vigilante or something like that.
The sympathies would have changed if that had been true.
And assessing those sympathies and those emotions in a case like this is what you do as a plaintiff's lawyer, is that correct?
It's what we try to do.
And it's what Alec Murdaugh used to do as well when he was a plaintiff's lawyer.
I think he was good at reading people and knowing what made them tick.
Oh, yeah.
MC, make another hit.
This ain't what you want.
Project.
This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. 1600 block. I just wanna rock. I just wanna. I just wanna rock. Body out of ya. Shorty got that body out of ya. Hit it once, no time. Side up, fuck, you gon' kill my vibe. Stand on my money, don't know my size.